Level 1. The Outsider. You are an 18-year-old young man. Your background is pristine for 3 generations. No criminal record, no relatives abroad. You passed the FSB Academy entrance exams with a perfect score and hold a local master's title in martial arts. You have caught the eye of undercover recruiters. You are at the Balashika Training Center on the outskirts of Moscow. 4 a.m. The outside temperature is minus 15 degrees Celsius. The only light comes from sickly yellow high-pressure lamps casting shadows over the white snow. You wear a field uniform with no insignia, boots weighing 2 kilograms, and carry a folding stock AK-74. You have no name, you have no privacy, you have no right to ask questions. Everything is governed by steel whistles and motionless shadows and balaclavas watching from a distance. Food is thick porridge and weak tea, just enough to keep your stomach from cramping during your daily 20-kilometer run. Here, the will to stand back up is more important than combat skill. No one says it, but everyone knows. You aren't judged by how many targets you hit. You are judged by how you look into the barrel of an enemy's gun when your ribs are already broken. On day 100, the 12 minutes of life and death test takes place. 2:13 p.m. A cold concrete floor in an old warehouse. 3 operators step out, masks sealed, hands wrapped in white tape. No one explains the rules. There is no referee. Everyone watches through one-way glass from above. You have 10 seconds to step into the red circle. By minute 4, your nose is shattered. By minute 8, your left arm is numb. You are slammed onto the floor for the 10th time. Blood mixes with stinging sweat in the corners of your eyes. You see the operator's boot approaching to deliver a finishing kick to your flank. You realize one thing. They don't want to see you win. They want to see the moment you decide to quit. From that day on, you no longer fear the blows. You begin to crave the pain because it is the only thing proving you still exist within this system. You no longer aim at your opponent. You aim at your own hesitation. 3 months later, the wounds on your face begin to scab into scars. Your personal file is marked in red by an anonymous hand. Your name is never spoken aloud. It appears on a top-secret transfer list. A black transport truck waits at the base gate. It stops behind the steel walls of a windowless bunker deep beneath Lubyanka Square. Level 2, the Ghost Apprentice. You are 23 years old, 2 years of seniority in the FSB. You are now in the inner city division of the Special Purpose Center. The white neon light is frigid. There is no concept of day or night. The only sound is the hiss of industrial ventilation and the friction of rubber soles on epoxy floors. You have a nameless gray key card, a frequency-hopping encrypted radio, and a Stetkin pistol always loaded. You have no social media presence. Everything is monitored by facial recognition cameras and weekly psychological reports from FSB experts. Here, silence is more important than standing out. No one says it, but everyone knows. You aren't judged by the speed of your draw. You are judged by your ability to vanish into a crowd without a single ripple of emotion on your face. One day, the teammate as target test takes place at 10:45 p.m. in an underground range. And no one explains. Your classmate steps out, standing motionless among the targets. He wears no body armor. Distance, 25 meters. You have 5 seconds to draw and fire at a paper target located exactly 5 centimeters from his ear. Everyone watches the vibration of the barrel in your hand. If you miss, both of you vanish from the system. Not because of death, but because of the failure to establish absolute trust. The first shot tears through the air. Your teammate doesn't blink. You see sweat running down his temple, but his eyes are as hollow as a corpse's. You no longer see a human being in front of you. You only see a physical coordinate. You realize one thing. You are no longer an individual fighter. You are a cell in a unified organism. Your hesitation is the system's cancer. From that day on, you stop viewing the gun as a weapon. You view it as a part of your body. You learn to drop your heart rate to 50 beats per minute when standing on the brink of disaster. You don't aim at the paper target. You aim at the last bit of doubt remaining in your subconscious. 3 months later, psychological tests show your emotional index approaching 0. Your file is stamped, ready. Your name is not called. A black fireproof balaclava is placed on your desk at midnight along with a field deployment order. A few months later, your call sign is announced over the radio. You stand up, walk out of the Lubyanka bunker, and climb straight into a Mi-8 helicopter idling in the middle of a blizzard. Level 3, the tactical spearhead. You are 28 years old, 7 years of forging in the darkness. You are now in a ruined apartment complex on the outskirts of Beslan. 3:14 a.m. The acrid smell of gunpowder mixes with damp concrete and leaking gas. The only light is a thread-thin red laser from a night scope and flashes of fire from muzzles across the hallway. You have 15 kilograms of body armor, an AK-12 assault rifle with a suppressor, and a flashbang in your left hand. You have no mercy. You have no right to be afraid. Everything is operated by taps on a teammate's shoulder and short commands via bone conduction headsets. Here, the end result is more important than any moral code. No one says it, but everyone knows. You aren't judged for personal bravery. You are judged by the number of targets neutralized and the number of teammates alive after the smoke clears. One day, a real-life hostage situation occurs. You stand before a dented steel door. Behind it, a terrorist holds a knife to a child's throat, his other hand gripping a C4 detonator. No one explains the risks. You have 0.8 seconds to decide when the door is blown open. Everyone watches your muzzle through your helmet-mounted camera. The door explodes. Dust fills the air. You see the panic in the child's eyes and the mad grin of the bomber. You don't wait for a negotiation order. You don't think about justice. You only see a 5-centimeter gap between the hostage's shoulder and the target's head. A single shot rings out in the confined space. The bomber collapses before his finger can squeeze. Blood splashes onto your visor, hot and real. The child screams, but you don't embrace them. You only check the pulse of the deceased and signal clear to the team behind you. You realize one thing. You are no longer a human with social emotions. You are a precision-cutting tool of the state used to remove cancerous cells. Pity is a mechanical defect. From that day on, you stop counting the people you've taken down. You start counting the seconds it takes to bring a target into your sights. You no longer aim at evil. You aim at absolute efficiency. You learn to sleep soundly after taking a life, because you know you traded it for the peace of millions. 3 years later, your body bears 4 bullet scars and countless glass shrapnel cuts. You are awarded the Medal of Courage in a room with no cameras. A few weeks later, you lay your AK-12 on the table for the last time, remove your mask, and step into a steel-clad room filled with radar screens. Level 4, the Battlefield Architect. You are 38 years old, 15 years of tasting gunpowder and blood. You are at the FSB Operations Command Center, 1:45 a.m. The only light comes from dozens of LCD screens displaying heat maps, satellite coordinates, and live feeds from subordinates' helmets. The sound is no longer gunfire, but the murmur of analysts and the whir of super server fans. You wear a crisp uniform with Lieutenant Colonel insignia, have access to military satellite databases, and the authority to order long-range strikes. You do not have the right to pull the trigger yourself. You do not have the freedom to be wrong. Everything is operated by probability algorithms and high-stakes political decisions. Here, the calculation of damage is more important than bravery. No one says it, but everyone knows. You aren't judged for your marksmanship. You are judged by the number of soldiers you bring home safely after a politically failed campaign. One day, a crisis breaks out at the border. Your subordinates, passionate young men, are surrounded in a building full of hostages and explosives. Superiors order you to launch a missile strike to wipe out the target and prevent a national secret from leaking. So regardless of the fact that the entire Special Forces team and the hostages will vanish. No one explains the ethics. Everyone in the command room holds their breath, waiting for your nod. You have 45 seconds to give the final order. You look at the screen and see the heart rate of each subordinate spiking through biometric monitoring. You don't see the enemy. You see numbers and risks. You choose to delay the strike, unauthorizedly deploying an air support unit to carve an escape path for the team, knowingly placing your career on the executioner's scales. You realize one thing. True power does not lie in the barrel of a gun, but in how much responsibility you dare to shoulder when everything goes off the rails. Loyalty at this level is a game of trade-offs. From that day on, you no longer see the world through the lens of a warrior. You see it as a chessboard where every move costs honor or life. You learn to smile at the politicians you hate because it is the only way to protect your unit. 5 years later, your hair is gray at the temples. You carry no new scars on your flesh, but your soul is full of cracks from heart-wrenching decisions. Your file is no longer in HR. It sits on the president's desk. A few years later, you strip off the dusty uniform, tie a black silk necktie, and step through the gleaming golden doors of the Kremlin. To level 5, the strategic brain. You are now 50 years old, a lifetime completely vanished into the shadows of history. You are in the corridors of supreme power, where every breath carries the weight of national destiny. Yellow light from massive crystal chandeliers reflects off marble floors polished like mirrors, cold and flawless. The only sound is the whisper of senior advisors and the turning of top-secret files in lead-lined, bug-proof rooms. You have privileged access to strategic command codes, control over global spy satellites, and a nameless seat on the Inner Security Council. You no longer have a public record in the world. You no longer have the right to be an individual. Everything here is operated by core national interests and cold diplomatic gambits, where humans are merely pieces on a probability graph. Here, the survival of the system is more important than any individual. No one says it, but the chill emanating from the red walls of the Kremlin reminds you every second. You are no longer judged by the success or failure of a battle or a rescue mission. You are judged by the stability of a regime and the ability to maintain order in a storm of global chaos. One day, a large-scale political upheaval breaks out, directly threatening the national power structure. Do you stand at a brutal crossroads, comply with constitutional rules, but plunge the nation into the risk of a bloody civil war, or activate a black op, a silent purge to eliminate the opposition in its infancy? No written order is handed down. Every eye, from the subordinates waiting for orders to the president standing silently by the window, is fixed on your silence. You have 60 minutes to establish a new future for the country, or let it collapse. You choose to sign an untitled piece of paper, disordering your ghost subordinates to do what history will never record. You realize a bitter truth. You never truly climbed to the peak of freedom. You were merely molded by the system over 30 years to become a perfect replacement brain, a tool capable of committing crimes in the name of greatness without blinking once. You do not possess power. Power possesses you. 10 years later, your name disappears from all official documents, as if you were never born. You sit in an isolated villa, watching a security screen where a young, ambitious face stands up after the final blow in the Level 1 12 minutes of life and death test. You smile coldly, a new loop begins. The system continues to run. Without you, the system does not need named heroes. It only needs gears that never tire.